An eerie silence fell over City Y, only to be shattered by the sound of screams. It wasn't a monster attack, not in the usual sense. Gravity itself had gone haywire. People, cars, even entire hot dog stands suddenly shot upwards, floating helplessly for a few terrifying seconds before crashing back down to Earth with a bone-jarring thud. The Hero Association quickly classified it as a suspected psychic-type disaster, a citywide threat of unknown origin. First on the scene was the hellish blizzard, Fubuki. She immediately took charge, her face a mask of concentration. Blizzard Group, move out. Prioritize civilian evacuation and stabilization. Her team fanned out, using their limited psychic abilities to create small pockets of stability, catching falling civilians and anchoring whatever they could. Fubuki herself was a whirlwind of green energy, her hands outstretched as she fought against an invisible, crushing force. She gritted her teeth, sweat beading on her forehead. This wasn't just raw psychic power she was fighting. It was something else, something woven from emotion, from the sheer weight of human despair. The pressure was immense, far beyond what she'd ever faced. Just as her own psychic shield began to flicker, a much smaller, yet infinitely more powerful green meteor streaked across the chaotic sky. Tatsumaki, the tornado of terror, had arrived. She hovered midair, her dress whipping around her, her eyes glowing with raw fury. What pathetic monster dares to imitate a psychic's power? She seethed, her voice echoing with barely contained rage. Her senses, far sharper than her sister's, immediately locked onto the source. Deep within the city's commercial district, a grotesque entity was pulsating. It had no definite shape, just a writhing mass of shadowy energy, a swirling vortex of sorrow and anxiety. The Hero Association database would later classify it as a grief-type monster. It's named Massheart, an entity that literally fed on insecurity and emotional pressure. Without a moment's hesitation, Tatsumaki attacked. "Don't get cocky, just because you can play with gravity," she yelled. With a flick of her wrist, she seized control of the space around the monster, creating zones of immense gravitational force and then reversing them in an instant. Buildings twisted, asphalt buckled, and the very air seemed to scream under the strain of her power. She intended to crush the monster into a non-existent smear, but something was wrong. With every aggressive burst of her psychic energy, with every wave of her unadulterated fury, the monster didn't shrink. It grew. The shadowy mass swelled, becoming larger, denser, its gravitational pull on the city intensifying. The more rage Tatsumaki threw at it, the stronger it became. Its formless body seemed to laugh at her, absorbing her anger and converting it into its own power. Down below, amidst the chaos, Fubuki was trying a different approach. She'd noticed the pattern. When her Blizzard Group members panicked, the gravity around them grew heavier. But when she calmly reassured a group of terrified office workers, guiding them to safety with a steady voice, the invisible pressure in that small area seemed to lighten, just for a moment. "Everyone, stay calm. Breathe. Fear is what it wants," she shouted, her voice cutting through the rising panic. It was a revelation. This monster didn't just manipulate gravity. It reacted to emotional imbalance. Its power was directly tied to the collective stress of the city, and Tatsumaki's rage was like pouring gasoline on a fire. High above, Tatsumaki was beginning to realize the same thing. Her brute force methods, the ones that had obliterated countless dragon-level threats, were completely useless here. It was like trying to punch water. Frustration warred with her pride. She had to rethink her entire strategy, a concept that was utterly foreign to her. Just then, a familiar bald-headed figure drifted lazily into her field of vision. Saitama. He was floating upside down, his yellow jumpsuit a beacon of absurdity in the gravity-stricken sky. His expression wasn't one of fear or anger, just mild confusion. He mumbled to no one in particular. "The sky's the floor now." Weird. He looked completely unbothered, as if this were just a minor inconvenience, like a sale being over at the supermarket. The mass heart monster seemed to sense this new anomaly. This one human, this single point of utter emotional neutrality, was an affront to its very existence. It focused its entire power on him. The gravity around Saitama warped violently, converging on him with the force of a black hole, intending to crush him into a microscopic speck of dust. The air shimmered with the immense pressure. Tatsumaki and Fubuki both watched in horror, expecting him to be instantly obliterated. And then, nothing. Absolutely nothing happened.
Saitama just blinked.
The force that was ripping buildings from their foundations didn't even make him flinch. He righted himself in the air, his cape fluttering gently, and then simply walked forward. He strode through the zone of extreme gravity as if it were a gentle spring breeze, his feet planting themselves on the invisible warped space. Seeing this, something clicked in Tatsumaki's mind. Brute force was feeding the beast. Emotional neutrality was its kryptonite. She needed control, not rage. Looking down, she saw Fubuki directing her group, her own psychic energy flowing not as a weapon, but as a calming balm. For the first time, perhaps ever, Tatsumaki saw her sister not as a weakling, but as someone who understood a different kind of strength. "Fubuki," she called out, her voice stripped of its usual arrogance. "Match my output. Stabilize the emotional field." Fubuki's eyes widened in shock, but she didn't hesitate. She poured her energy upwards, not to attack, but to synchronize. It was a dance of psychic power the world had never seen. Tatsumaki, the master of cosmic force, began to delicately untangle the twisted fabric of space, her rage replaced with a surgeon's focus. Fubuki, the master of people, wove her own power through the city's collective consciousness, soothing the rampant fear and anxiety like a gentle lullaby. Their green auras merged, creating a vast network of stability. Tatsumaki wasn't crushing the monster anymore. She was methodically defining the boundaries of normal physics. Fubuki wasn't just calming people. She was actively siphoning the monster's food source, starving it of the negative emotions it craved. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The colossal, shadowy mass heart began to shrink. It writhed in agony as its power source was cut off, its gravitational chaos being neatly folded back into order by the combined might of the psychic sisters. As it shrank, its core became visible a dense, pulsating heart of pure despair. While the sisters performed their psychic symphony, Saitama had casually strolled right up to the monster's rapidly diminishing core. He just stood there, hands on his hips, watching it shrink. He didn't even throw a punch. His very presence, his complete and total lack of emotional investment, was the ultimate anchor. He was a point of absolute gravitational and emotional zero. His calm was so profound, so unshakable, that it created a null zone, unintentionally equalizing the last vestiges of the monster's power. With a final pathetic whimper, the mass heart imploded, vanishing into nothingness. Instantly, the city returned to normal. The last of the floating debris settled gently onto the ground. A collective sigh of relief swept through the streets. The crisis was over. Tatsumaki floated down to land beside her sister, a rare, thoughtful expression on her face. Looked at Fubuki, who was still coordinating the cleanup efforts. A true leader. "Gotten stronger," Tatsumaki admitted, the words feeling strange in her mouth. Fubuki just smiled, a tired but genuine smile. "I'm not trying to surpass you anymore, sister. I'm just trying to be the support you need." A new understanding passed between them, a bond reforged, not in rivalry, but in synergy. Saitama landed beside them with a soft thud, dusting off his jumpsuit. He looked up at the sky, then back at the now peaceful city. "Man," he said with a thoughtful frown, "that was heavy." Literally, the sisters just stared at him for a beat, then shared a small, exasperated smile. Together, the three heroes began to walk away, leaving the restored city behind them. Thanks for watching. It's always fun to explore these what-if scenarios in the One Punch Man universe. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the Psychic Sisters teaming up. See you next time.